Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I hope that you are feeling well. Today, I will explain and translate the last two paragraphs of the lesson Jinnah Vision of Pakistan. Before going to explain and translate those two paragraphs, let me tell you about the objectives that we are supposed to attain at the completion of this lesson. First of all, you should know about the theme, the main idea, MCQs, words meaning, short questions, and most importantly, grammatical structures of the sentences which are there in your text. Now, before going to start these two paragraphs, let me present a brief sketch of the whole lesson. So, Jinnah's speech of 11th August 1947 was very important in the sense that in the same speech he expressed his vision of Pakistan. Jinnah was a secular barrister who always championed the cause of Hindu-Muslim unity. He expressed his vision to the Constituent Assembly in his famous speech, which was delivered on 11 August 1947. He talked about two functions of the Constituent Assembly. First of all, it is the duty or it is the function of the Constituent Assembly to make future generation for Pakistan. And secondly, the same Constituent Assembly would work as federal legislature. He talked about an inclusive, impartial government where there will be complete rule of law and religious freedom. He called this partition of subcontinent as a titanic and cyclonic revolution. He called it unprecedented revolution because this revolution, this partition or what we call this division took place without any bloodshed, means it took place or it occurred peacefully. Apart from that, he said that on both sides in Pakistan and in India, there are people who are against this partition. But this partition was inevitable, very important for the solution of the constitutional problem of India. Further, he said that there are many people who are against this partition, but with the passage of time or history will testify this division to be very essential. Apart from that, he talked about the duty of the government. The first duty of the government is to maintain law and order in order to protect the property, life, and religious beliefs of its citizens. Secondly, he said that it is the duty of the government to put down the evil of corruption and bribery. These are two curses. XII called it two curses, bribery and corruption. And according to him, it is the duty of the government to put down these two curses. And then further he said that the evil of jobbery and nepotism, which has been passed over to them or which has been shifted to us, that would not be tolerated. So he talked about, first of all, the curses of bribery and corruption, and then he talked about the legacy of jobbery and nepotism. So according to XII, these four evils will not be tolerated. Moreover, he talked about the division of subcontinent, that it was very important for the constitutional problem of India. Further, he said to the members of the Constituent Assembly that they should completely concentrate their attention on the well-being of the people in order to make Pakistan a prosperous country. Apart from that, he said that we have different creeds and castes. Religion is something which is personal. All the people, whether they are in minority or in majority, they have equal rights and equal privileges in the state of Pakistan. He talked about a complete religious freedom. That is why he said to the people that they are free to go to their temple, they are free to go to their religious places, means respective religious places in the state of Pakistan. Apart from that, he also said that with the passage of time, Hindus cease to be Hindus and Muslims cease to be Hindus. But not in a religious sense, but in political sense, because religion is something which is personal. It has nothing to do with the state affairs. First of all, they are Pakistani, they are the citizen of Pakistan. Then next their religion comes. So politically, they are Basically, first of all, they are Pakistani, and then secondary is their religion. In the last, he said that he would always be guided by fair play, by the principles of fair play and justice, and he will keep no prejudice against any people. He will always be partial and neutral. Okay, after the sketch, let me translate the last two paragraphs of the same lesson. Okay, dear, open your books at page 24. First paragraph. Now I think we should keep that in front of us as our ideal. Ideal means standard or goal. Standard or goal. Whatever said by XII, according to XII, whatever he said, now that those things, those points should be kept in mind, and that should be kept as a standard or a goal. And you will find that in course of time means with the passage of time, वक्त गुजरने के साथ, Hindus cease to be Hindus and Muslim would cease to be. Cease means to get finished, to come to an end. With the passage of time, the separate identification in political sense. In political sense, Hindu would not remain Hindus further, and Muslim would cease to be Muslim because, first of all, they are Pakistani. Politically, their identification would be Pakistani, and in the religious sense, they would be considered separately as Hindus and Muslims. So first of all, their recognition, their identification would be Pakistani. Then, on secondly, their religion would come. Hindu ceased to be Hindu and Muslim would cease to be Muslim, not in the religious sense. You see, not in the religious, then they would cease to be, Hindu would cease to be Hindu and Muslim would cease to be Hindu. Not in the religious sense, because that is personal faith. Faith means belief, personal faith of each individual. Every individual has its own beliefs. Okay, every individual has its own religion, so that is something which is personal, and it has nothing to do with the state affairs. First of all, in political sense, we are Pakistani, then we are Muslims. Not in religious sense, but that is the personal faith of each individual. But in political sense, as citizen of the state, in political sense, first of all, we are all Pakistani, then we are Muslim, we are Hindus and Christian. There are different religions, but that is, religion is something personal. It has nothing to do with the state affairs. First of all, we are Pakistanis. Well, gentlemen, I do not wish to take any more of your time, and thank you again for the honor you have done to me. Now you see, he is coming towards the conclusion of the speech, and he is asking permission that he will not take enough time of them. I shall always be guided by the principles of justice. Now you see, once again, he emphatically and categorically said that he will be guided, he would be led by the principles. Principle means by the canons, usul of justice. Now you see, he will always be guided by justice and equity and fair play. Do you know fair play? Impartial treatment. He will always be neutral, impartial. Whatever he would do, whatever he would say, that would be neutral and impartial. Without any, guided by principles of justice and fair play, without any, as it put in the political language, prejudice or ill will. He will never have any prejudice against anybody. He will always be guided by fair play. He would keep no, means he would not keep any biased feelings against anybody. He will never be prejudiced. Ill will. Ill will means unfeeling, means unfriendly feelings. He would not be guided by unfriendly feelings. He will always be guided by fair play and justice. He will keep no prejudice against any people. He will never be biased against anybody. He will maintain equal treatment with everybody. Ill will. So ill will means unfriendly feelings. And prejudice. Prejudice means ta'assub, hatred, bias, or indignation. Other words, partiality or favoritism. Partiality, you know, partiality means affinity, to take side of anybody. किसी का side लेना, partiality. Okay, janibdari. What's we call janibdari? Favoritism means partiality, means he will always be impartial. He will always be neutral. He would keep no prejudice against anybody. As means head of the state, he will have equal treatment, equal eye for everybody, every citizen of the state. Understand? Next we have, and I am sure that with your support and cooperation, both are the same thing. Help, support, cooperation, assistance. I can look forward to Pakistan becoming one of the greatest nations of the world. Now you see, he said that with the support of the members of the Constituent Assembly, he hopes that Pakistan will become the greatest state of the world. One day, he means Pakistan would be the greatest nation of the world, but with the support of the members of the Constituent Assembly, he will make this Pakistan the greatest of the world. Okay, now after the completion of this lesson, let me explain some grammatical structure in the same text. Okay, first of all, we have a very simple structure which has been there in your text, in front of us. He is in front of us. So in front of. Now you see, in front of, it is a group of words, in front of. This is working as a preposition over here because it is followed by a pronoun. This us is pronoun. So preposition always or mostly takes place before noun or pronoun. That is why we call it preposition. Pre means pehle position. So it means that it was as a preposition, it comes before this pronoun. So this is a preposition. But it is a collection of three words. So this is phrase preposition. We call it a phrase preposition. We have different types of preposition: simple preposition, double preposition. Then we have disguised preposition. We have phrase preposition. So these are different prepositions. Okay, we have also compound preposition. Then we have another structure, as or as. As tells us about or. So or tells us about ideal. Ideal is noun. Or tells us about this noun, so that is an adjective because it tells us about a noun. So we have this one is adjective. And as tells us about this adjective, so this word is an adverb. Any word which tells us about or which modify an adjective, we call it adverb. So as or ideal. Or ideal combinedly, this or ideal is a noun phrase. This or is adjective, but here it was as a modifier. We call it modifier because it modifies this noun ideal. So or ideal combinedly we call it this is noun phrase. Noun phrase. Okay? So we have as adverb or adjective, ideal is a noun. The next structure we have, you will find that. Now you see, mostly you will find this is a clause. This is a clause because we have subject and will find this is predicate. Subject, that part of the sentence which is talked about, which is being discussed. And the part of the sentence which tells us about subject, we call it predicate. So you will find, combinedly this is a clause. Clause, what is the definition of clause? Group of words having subject and predicate, we call it clause. Sometimes clause give you complete meaning. Sometimes it needs another clause to give complete meaning. Now you see here that is working as subordinate conjunction. Subordinate conjunction. So here starts another clause. So mostly the clause which follows verb, we call it a noun clause. We call it a noun clause. So the next clause starts from that. This is one clause you will find. And the second start from that. That is subordinate conjunction over here. So the second clause starts from here. It is noun clause. The principles of justice. Now you see combining the, as you know, this article, but here we call it determiner. Determiner is that word which introduce a noun. Which introduce a noun, we call it determiner. So D is determiner. Basically it is article. And then we have principle. Principle is noun. Now you see of justice. Principle of justice tells us about the principles. So these determiner. Principle is noun. Of justice tells us about these principles. So of justice we call it a post modifier. We call it post modifier because it also modifies justice. It tells us about principle. It modifies principle, noun. So combining the principle of justice, is a phrase, and this is combined. We call it a noun phrase. The principle of justice are very good. The principles of justice are very good. So the principles of justice are working as a noun phrase. Then we have my guiding principles. My guiding principles completely. Now you see mine is also modified. Guiding is mine is also modified. It is also a possessive adjective. Mine. Possessive adjective. And guiding, now you see guiding, guiding, verb plus ing, it works as an adjective. Guiding principle because it tells us about this one. My also tells us about this one. So my and guiding both are adjectives. Both are adjectives, tells us about noun principles. So this is participle. Combining my guiding principle, this is noun phrase. This is noun phrase because we have many keyword principles, and that is noun. Okay? These two words are additional which tells us about this noun principle. So this is also noun phrase. The next we have I am sure. I am sure. Now you see sure is adjective. Adjective. This is an adjective. Once again, this clause starts from that with your support. Once again, this starts from that. This is a clause. That it starts from that. So that with your support and so on. This is also a noun clause. This is also a noun clause. We are discussing noun phrase and noun clause because these two things, these two grammatical structures are there in your exercise as well. That is why we are trying to find out noun phrase and noun clause inside this text. Then we have the next thing. Sure, that with your support I can look forward to Pakistan. To Pakistan you see two preposition and noun. Any phrase which starts with a preposition ends with noun, we call it prepositional phrase. This is a prepositional phrase. This is preposition. Becoming, now you see becoming is gerund. Gerund, what is gerund? When verb is followed by ing, smoking, for example, smoking is dangerous. So smoking is working as a noun, and that is gerund. That is a gerund. Okay. So this is gerund, becoming gerund. One marker, then one becomes an adjective because it tells us about the word marker. Marker is noun, so one is adjective. But here one is a noun. So one is working as we call it a pronoun. We call it a pronoun because it has replaced any noun which is not mentioned over here. So that is pronoun. One is pronoun. Of the greatest nation of the world. Of the world. Of the world. This is once again starts with a preposition and ends with noun. So this is also what we call prepositional phrase because any phrase which starts with a preposition and ends with noun or pronoun, we call it prepositional phrase. Now you see we have once again one of the office, what we call simple preposition, these, article, greatest, this is adjective, this is what we call superlative degree of adjective. I hope that you have understood these grammatical structures, translation, words, meaning, and what we call a sketch of the lesson. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.